Hello everyone, a very good morning, good afternoon and good evening to all of the viewers from around the world. This is your host Vaibhav. For today's session of correlation and regression, we will be analyzing the various dollar denominated currency pairs, as well as we will also be looking into the developments in the equity segment. We will consider the move so far to determine how likely it is the strength of various currencies are likely to persist, or you can say prevail, in the upcoming US trading session. And also we will be looking at the European equity markets to get a hint of the happenings which are likely to take place after the start of the US trading session. So of course these are like making informed guesses depending on the data at hand, and we will be doing that, not sure short predictions of course. So let us now head to the JForex 4, the newly released trading platform from the Dukascopy Bank SA. This is the Euro USD chart drawn on the 5 minute candlestick period. But if I look at this range and the average price is drawn on, the range is for 4 hour and 2 hours, and with that I'm also taking into consideration the average price of last 1 hour as well as for last 2 hours. And if we look into the price action data starting from the 21 GMT today, we have this Euro USD trading downward. The momentum has been bearish for the Euro USD, and it has made lower lows for the day so far. After that, it has stabilized. The last low was made around 11 5 GMT, and after that it has simply gone sideways. It is not really moving much. If you consider the last 4 hours range, it is merely 25 pips, so that's very low. In recent days the volatility has been a lot, and compared to that, if we look at the today's range, the range is pretty low. And that's interesting. Now that we have seen consolidation, or you can even call congestion, for last 4 hours, it will be interesting to see what direction it might take after the start of US trading session. So far the momentum looks bearish, so I would be betting on the lower side move in coming US session as well. But for that, we of course have to make assessment of the relative strength of each of these currency is against the dollar. And here the momentum is at the moment looking bearish for the Euro USD, and with that we will now be looking into the relative strength and weaknesses of other currencies against the dollar. The dollar is looking strong for the time being against the euro. So now the question is whether we should be looking for short selling opportunities in the Euro USD, or if there is any other currency which is much weaker compared to the dollar and even compared to the euro. So for that, one by one, we will be analyzing these currency crosses against the dollar. Here, the last 4 hourly high was made at 13:20 GMT, and the low was made at 11:05 GMT. So we have to keep this in mind, and that helps us in determining the relative strength and weaknesses of various currencies. So now let's take GBP USD into account. The GBP USD is also in the bearish trajectory. Here it has continued to make lower lows for the day. We have this strongly bearish momentum prevalent in the GBP USD. It has weakened throughout the day against the dollar. So I would say that for upcoming session also we can expect the relative weakness of the GBP to prevail. But of course, then we have to determine what is the optimum level, and also in relation with the euro, which is the weaker one. And looking at its price formation, the last low was made at 11 GMT, same as the euro, but it never went on to make a fresh 4 hourly high, which the euro did make. And after that, it has again reversed back and made a new low at 13:05 GMT, and a 4 hourly low was made at 14:20 GMT. So that makes a clear cut case for considering the GBP to be weaker of the euro and GBP. So if you are looking for any short selling opportunity, the GBP USD should be given preference compared to the euro USD. But we are not done yet. We have to analyze other currency crosses as well before we can make a case for any particular currency. Now let's consider the NZD-USD. For NZD-USD, it made a 4 hourly high pretty early in the day, and after that it hasn't really made a new low. So the NZD-USD is looking much stronger of the three, and it is looking even stronger than the euro. So for any short selling opportunity against the dollar, you better bet on the GBP in comparison to the NZD or euro, and I think similar price formation can be expected to prevail in the AUD as well. AUD also went on to make a 4 hourly high pretty early. It was even stronger than the NZD, so this is not a good currency for shorting against the dollar. That's the correlation analysis is telling us. Now we have to reverse the scale and consider these USD CAD, USD CHF, and USD JPY, where USD is the first currency to be considered, and then we will have to now invert it. The direction for USD CAD, USD CHF, and USD JPY needs to be on the higher side to be considered USD to be the stronger bet. So here, let's consider the USD CAD first. The USD CAD is showing a different story. The CAD has continued to get strength against the dollar. So the CAD is not really looking weak. It has gone on to make newer lows quite early in the day at 10:30 GMT, and after that it didn't reverse the course and continued to stay strong. So for analysis purpose, the correlation purpose, the GBP still remains the best bet for shorting. But if you are looking into the strength of other currencies against the dollar, then I think the case can be made for CAD. CAD is looking the strongest of these four of the currency crosses we have seen. So the dollar is on the back side here, back foot here. The USD CHF will also need to be considered. The USD CHF here, the CHF has continued to weaken, and we are observing the dollar getting stronger against the USD CHF. So this is in line with the European currencies where we are seeing persistent weakness against the dollar. So this is in grouping with the GBP USD, Euro USD, and AUD USD and NZD USD. It's not really a case for this weakness in the dollar. It is the case of strength in the dollar. And let's see what is the development for USD JPY. The JPY is looking stronger, and we have the USD JPY also entering into a consolidation phase. So it will be interesting to see how this unfolds in coming upcoming US session. The new low was made at 10:05 GMT, and after that it has continued to look bearish. It didn't really even rise much. The range has narrowed. It is only 40 pips for last 4 hours. So I would say that for betting on any strong currency against the dollar, the JPY and the CAD will have to be considered. And if you are betting for the strength of the dollar and weakness of other currencies, then the GBP USD has to be considered. So you have these two choices. If you are betting on the strength of the dollar, then we have this GBP USD for making a trade, and if you are expecting the USD to weaken, then we have this USD JPY and USD CAD, which are likely to offer higher probability of getting the trade right. So this is the formation that's telling us. All right, now let's see the developments in the equity space. The Dow Jones is looking strong. The Dow Jones futures are trading in upward momentum, and we have seen the gains of around 200 points from the day's low. And if we consider the price formation so far throughout the day, It made a high of around 32,930 earlier in the day during the Asian trading session. Then it again declined, and it has come back to climb above the prior high formed during the Asian trading session. So it is looking interesting, and I would say, as per the preliminary analysis of this price formation, the momentum is bullish. Now we have to consider the strength of these bullishness. We have to see if it is right time to get involved, or it is even a right instrument to get involved for the strength of the equity segment. So for that, we have to first consider the price moves in relative terms. For the Dow Jones, we have seen it making a fresh high just recently at 14 GMT. After that, it again went into a consolidation phase and trying to climb back, and it is not far off from the day's high. And prior to that, it had made day's low at 12:20 GMT. So let us consider it in relation with the S&P 500 and the Nasdaq. The Nasdaq also made a high at 13:55 GMT earlier in the day. It made low at a similar time. So here the relative time analysis is telling us that the S&P 500 and the Dow Jones made highs around the same time, and after that this correction started kicking in. And if we look at the correction, it also had gone pretty close to the 2 hourly low, and for S&P 500 similar thing holds, but it didn't really touch the 2 hourly low. For Nasdaq, let's see, the Nasdaq also went pretty close to the 2 hourly low, but it didn't really touch, and it made its high just 5 minutes earlier compared to the S&P 500 and the Dow Jones. It also made day's low around a similar time. So there is not much of an difference in this relative strength and weakness of all these three key equity indices for the US. These are all trading in similar trajectory, but if we consider the immediate price formation, then I think just slightly the Dow Jones is looking stronger. It made a low, and this time the smaller correction has been pretty shallow. For Nasdaq and S&P 500, it has been little deeper, so that's the only difference here. So looking at that, you can make a case that these three equity indices, the Dow Jones Industrial Average looks on the stronger footing. For Euro area, let us consider what was the development there. If we consider the FTSE 100's price action, it has traded quite strongly. It made low quite earlier, and then it also went on to make this day's high earlier compared to the US equity indices, and it is now trading on the day's high. So if you are bullish on the equity side, then compared to the US equity indices, the FTSE 100 is looking a lot stronger in relative terms. So it should be given preference if you are trying to look for buy trade opportunities in the equity side. And let us consider the CAC 40. The CAC 40 is also on the stronger side, and it made a 4 hourly high at 13:30 GMT for FTSE 100. That was quite earlier. So the FTSE 100 is relatively stronger compared to the CAC 40. EU stock 50 needs to be considered as well. For EU stock 50, the high came a bit late, so the first preference still remains FTSE 100. And for the DAX, the momentum has been similarly bullish, but it also is showing some lag compared to the FTSE 100. So for equity side, the best bet remains the FTSE 100 on the price action formation with its highs being made quite early compared to the other equity indices, and it is still trading quite strongly. So if you are looking for any buy trade opportunity in coming hours, I think we have the advantage in FTSE 100, which is showing stronger tendency compared to other equity indices. And also in relative terms, there is not much of a difference in the US equity indices. But if you prefer to go for any trade in US equity indices, then the Dow Jones Equity Index is slightly stronger in relative terms. Now, let us consider where this price action is unfolding in terms of the average price over last 24 hours and 12 hours. So here, the price action congestion has been happening closer to the last 24 hours average price. We have this price action unfolding pretty close to this average price, so there is not much of a deviation from the stronger from the average price. So I think we can expect the current price formation, the momentum, to prevail for some more time till there is any strong deviation, and only after that we can consider the move toward the means. But for now, the price action is pretty close to the mean price, so it is not likely to give you any regression types of trade, at least not in DAX. Let us see the price action data of the Dow Jones Industrial Average. The Dow has also traded close to the 12-hourly moving average. It is slightly higher compared to the 24-hour moving average. So that's the only difference here, but it is not much into the deviation. So if we consider the yesterday's price action data, it had deviated somewhat, and then we got this regression move where it got closer to the average price, and then the momentum again shifted on the higher side with it now inching towards the day's high. So that's what the average price data is telling us. The similar story is there to see for Nasdaq as well. So there is not much of a deviation, and we can expect there is a trend to prevail. And if you are waiting with the trend, if you are comparing, there is a price formation with the higher highs and the higher lows, then of course we have still further room to run for these most of the equity indices which we have considered so far. Now let us go back to the currency space and see what is the development for currencies. Here the Euro USD had dropped below the 24-hour moving average. So that's something to keep in mind. So there is a little bit of weakness, but if it is a change of trend, which has been on the bullish side for last two sessions, or simply a smaller correction, that's something only time will tell. But right now it is bearish, and we have talked about it. And for comparative analysis, the GBP USD was looking much weaker compared to the euro. So even if you are looking for any short selling opportunities, looking into this price action, then the GBP USD is a much better option to go short, which is also having deeper correction here. It is much lower compared to the 24-hour moving average price. So that's something to be kept in mind. And if you are not really convinced with the bearishness of other currencies against the dollar, or you are doubtful of the dollar strength, then in that sense you can even bet on the currencies like USD CAD, which is on the stronger footing. We have seen it dipping below the 24-hour moving average, and it is still looking strong. So this is something which can be exploited if you are betting against the dollar, if you expect the dollar to weaken further. So that's for today's session of correlation and regression. If any of you have any query or any idea to share, you can write back to me in the feedback section, and I will be more than happy to take the discussion forward. For further coverage of the market developments, do check out the Dukascopy Analytics page. We are also available on the Facebook. You can reach out to us there too. I have also included the link in the bio for this newly released JForex platform. So give it a try and let me know how it works out for you. That's all, guys, from my side. See you tomorrow with various price action points to be considered. See you tomorrow. Goodbye.